Welcome to our next talk here at the Hannover Messe in Hannover. It is our Continental Industrial Summit. And ladies and gentlemen, startups are playing a huge and important role in industry today. And there are many programs that are supporting startups. And of course, Continental has its own startup as well called CoPace. And what this is all about, what benefit it brings, and which strategy Continental is following, that is what we want to find out now. And I'm very happy to have on stage the guy who is responsible for incubation and communication at CoPace. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Konstantin Mihov.
Thank you.
Konstantin, great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Sure. For the beginning, maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing at the company.
Yeah. So I just on the 1st of April, I celebrated 8 years with Conti, which was a huge anniversary for me. But since February, I've joined the startup company, as you mentioned, CoPace, which is tremendously exciting because I remember back when I was a student at university, we also had our startup activities and startup challenges. And already back then, I was dreaming of working in such kind of an environment. And 2 years ago, Continental founded CoPace with the intention to bring those worlds together. And for me, it was just a natural progression to actually join that part of the organization after having worked for almost 8 years in tires, on the corporate side, in various functions.
Great. So, in the last talks, we heard a lot about artificial intelligence and Continental's focus on connecting with external partners and startups. So, please tell us, why is it so important for you?
There are many things that are happening in the market today, and we see that there are new trends emerging. We talked a little bit about some of those trends on the technology side, but there are a lot of trends on the end user side, on the industry side, that dictate that new solutions are needed. And the history of Continental has been for a very long time as a contract manufacturer. Basically, someone else does the innovation, they come to Continental and say, here is the spec sheet, you Conti, go make it. We think that although that time is not behind us entirely, we also think that we can innovate because new technologies are emerging, allowing us to be closer to customers. In addition to that, you have the complexities of economic changes, of trade wars, of economic uncertainties due to political frictions, and so all of these changes require Continental to be much closer to also end users and to the user needs, whether that's end consumers or industry manufacturers, it doesn't matter. We just need to be much closer. And that is something that startups are very good at, and us partnering with startups in a way is an expression of making sure that this shortened cycle allows us, together with that startup, to reach new heights and new potentials.
Okay, so as we know, you're working for CoPace, and you already told us some parts of your work. So maybe you can give us an overview about CoPace.
Yeah. So what CoPace is basically a bridge builder. We try to connect both the outside innovation scene with the internal need, as well as to help internal innovation solutions to come out and actually be realized, so come to fruition. And we do that in several approaches. One is the so-called incubation activities, which are our internal innovation challenges, internal competitions, which allow our own people to experience what it is to be a startup and what it is to build a product, to build a business that meets a specific customer need. Another aspect of CoPace and what we do is that we have something called the cooperation program, where we are actively looking for startups that solve problems or help us create solutions that we're currently not able to do that. Because we have a white spot, because that's not the core expertise for some reason, or because that startup has developed a specific technology which we can partner on. And if that technology proves to be of great value, great interest, we also invest actively in such companies. So this is sort of the scope of what CoPace tries to do. And of course, we cannot do that in isolation. So that's why we're trying to be as close as possible to all of our colleagues internally, such as Suraf and Christian's team that we heard earlier from Conditex digitalization, as well as every other division, obviously.
Okay, so let's imagine, yeah? I developed together with friends a great technology, yeah? Let's say in the area of autonomous systems. So, and we're absolutely sure that is the great big thing for tomorrow. So, what can we expect if we apply at your program? Should we, or?
Yeah. Well, so it depends. Are you an internal employee or an external one?
Let's.
We can do both.
What is better? What is better?
Well, it doesn't matter. What is important is the solution or your concept,
then I'm
your business.
External.
Okay.
External.
So as an external, what we need to do is to make sure that we understand what is the key feature of what this new thing that you have developed, and to find the right partner that we can bring you with internally. And why this is such an important step is because startups operate under very different speed. They have very different, very different predisposition, very different survival mode, very different needs, and so the concepts that they develop cannot always be immediately copy-pasted. At the same time, the big corporates, they also operate like us. We try to scale things, obviously at large scale. And so in order to create that bridge, oftentimes an intermediary is needed, and that is CoPace in essence. What we have developed is our standardized process, which is much leaner than our corporate processes on establishing partnerships, to allow us to say, we'd like to work with you. We create a letter of intent. With that letter of intent, we then find the partner inside Continental who can benefit the most out of this product or solution or partnership. And with them, we then develop a proof of concept. And we say, here is our use case. Tell us whether your solution can be applied to this particular use case. And if that is the case, and if that gets clarified and all the paperwork gets through quickly, which it does get quite quickly because we're a separate legal entity, we can proceed to actually bring that to market and to execute on it. And this is in a way the kind of diversity of perspectives that we also need in order to be successful, both for you as a startup, because you can achieve very different heights of realization of your concept, but at the same time, we as a company can also achieve a lot more together with such kind of innovative solutions.
What current examples from Continental exist that have been developed in cooperation with startups and or CoPace? And in which areas do you see the biggest potential in the future?
There are a couple of things we're working on which unfortunately we cannot yet discuss extensively, but I can give you an example of a concept that came out from our incubator, which I think is also something worth mentioning, because in addition to giving the platform for our employees to develop solutions that might fit our classical customer needs, in one of the very first challenges, we also had a team that incubated a concept that went into a very different industry sector. And currently that was spun off last year as a whole separate legal entity called PassiveBolt. And that what that company does now, what a startup does, is create an industrial level or industrial quality smart lock solutions. Most of the smart locks that we know today are retrofitted back into our our doors. You can buy it off the rack, but it's retrofitted. It's not there as an OEM installed product. And the Passive Bolt wanted to industrialize that solution more, which brings additional advantages. And that was something that the team managed to achieve. And that would not have been possible if we didn't have that also approach inside Conti to welcome such kind of concepts and to help them get incubated.
So tell us, what do you need to be successful with a startup, to cooperate successful?
Yeah. I think one of the things, and I already mentioned that keyword, is the diversity, or valuing the differences that startups can bring and we as corporates can live. Knowing that there isn't bad or good, that startups are not always good and corporates are not always bad, and the other way around. It's managing these different perspectives and being able to create those bridges is what really makes a difference. And oftentimes that also requires that we as big corporates, we're a little bit more humble, which we, sometimes we think we're the big corporates, we can do everything on our own, we can invent all of these things that you're talking about, which is not always the case. And that is exactly why we need to recognize that and learn how to partner with startups in a more partnership, eye-level oriented way. So that for me is one of the keys that is essential for bringing those partnerships to life.
And talking about challenges, what challenges do you see in co-creating new technologies and business models with external partners?
Well, the biggest challenge that actually, to my perspective, applies to both internal and external startups is the ability to validate the concept with customers, with actual customers. For us, that is a challenge because we are sort of a technology-driven company. We're geeks. Because we are geeks, we like to improve on the technology rather than thinking what is the actual use case and how can we improve the application of that use case. Anecdotal example, not from Continental, is the engineering solution to creating a better deodorant is to make it not last just 24 hours, but make it last 48 hours and maybe 96 hours. That engineering solution, however, has nothing to do with the user need because most people don't go for more than 24 hours without a shower. So a deodorant solution that is 96 hours effective is probably not the user-driven solution, is the engineering-driven solution. The user-driven solution is a deodorant that smells nice, that doesn't leave stains, and so on and so forth.
Some questions before you ask me if I'm internal or an external. This shows that CoPace is aimed for internal and external entrepreneurs. So just tell us, why are internal innovators are important as external ones?
Well, we believe, and I think the example of Passive Bolt was a good illustration that we do have in all of our people also a tremendous creative capability. And so I believe that if we create the environment in which actually people do what they really love, and our office of CoPace's office in Berlin is at WeWork, and they distribute these small booklets that says on the front, do what you love. So that people can take notes in them. And I carry that with me all the time because this is exactly the kind of environment that Continental needs to be creating so that our people can realize the potential of concepts that they have. And at the same time, it also allows our general innovative power to actually develop further. And that's why such challenges like the Inno Challenge that will happen in some time in the afternoon today is so important as well internally, but also externally to demonstrate that capability and that drive and that creative power.
And there's an internal innovation contest called the Inno Challenge. Yeah, this is a challenge for all employees of Continental. So what role does internal networking and collaboration play between the business department?
Yeah, well, that's another trend that that we're seeing, that there is an increased need for solutions that require technical solutions that are not residing within our established organizational structures. So if we look around, we see things that are, conveyor belt that is made out of rubber, which today is basically just a conveyor belt. Rather, yesterday was just a conveyor belt. Today, it already has a number of sensors, and that requires a different know-how. And so those are the kind of things that are already happening, even if they're happening a little bit on the slower side for some people's taste sometimes, they are happening. And that allows these organizational borders that to an extent still exist to be crossed. And that is the networking skills that you've been describing and you've been talking about as something that we need more of and to keep on practicing them.
Great. So ladies and gentlemen, when you are an internal or external innovator, this is your man, yeah? And it's pretty easy to recognize you here at the stand, yeah? Just look where the red trouser is.
I did see someone else with the red trousers coming in here as well, so but he was not bald, so it's either that or that.
Okay, you said it. It wasn't me, yeah? I was just with the red trousers. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. And yeah, Konstantin, great to have you here, and you stay with us here. So
I'll stay for about an hour more still.
Okay, so 1 hour time now to meet this person, and yeah, one more time, thanks.
Thank you very much.
And this is your round of applause.
Thank you very much.